Wadjet Eye Games. Now, there's a company you haven't heard me mention on this channel before. Not for any negative reasons, of course. I just unfortunately haven't gotten around to much of their work. But I have started to, and well, I did play Strangeland. It was strange. Also, it's Halloween. Perfect time to get a little spooky, don't you think? Roll the Halloween intro. Strangeland was developed by Wormwood Studios and published by Wadjet Eye, who are likely the biggest name in the point-and-click indie scene. If you've played a newer adventure game on the AGS engine, there's a good strong chance it was either developed or published by this lot. Wadjet Eye was established by Dave Gilbert, a developer himself. Responsible for such games as The Shiver, the Blackwell series, Unavowed, and soon Old Skies. The demo for that one was fantastic, by the way. There's a strong repertoire of adventure games under the belt of this company, and I've always meant to look more into their work. In fact, Primordia, the previous game by Wormwood Studios, was recommended heavily to me by my friend Jordan years ago, and I still haven't played it. I'm sorry, Jordan. It's even on Switch now, I have no excuse. But I have played Strangeland at least, which released in 2021 and is best described as a cross between Darkseid and Sanitarium in the words of its own dev. And those two are classics of the horror point-and-click genre, so I was intrigued to pick this one up when it dropped. I've also heard Silent Hill 2 meets It's a Wonderful Life. There's a lot of interesting cross-pollination going on here. It's a mysterious and pretty dark game with a gorgeous art style, where an unnamed man in a straitjacket uncovers a bizarre reality in the satellite of a twisted carnival. There he meets strange people and stranger creatures, and learns why he's there and what it all means. It ended up sticking with me quite a bit after I finished it, and I knew I had to make a video about it at some point, so let's take a trip through Strangeland. As the game begins, we're introduced to our protagonist, a nameless man in a straitjacket, awakening on the edge of an otherworldly carnival in the void, Strangeland. This character doesn't have a name, so we'll refer to him as the Stranger, and it isn't long before we meet a giant clown head.
I don't want to tell you a joke. I don't want to tell you anything at all. But you know the problem with me? I never could keep my big mouth shut.
Oh, that is exactly what I wanted to say. But do you recognize those dulcet tones though? This clown is actually voiced by Mike Pollock, of course best known for his role in the hit movie Ratatouille. Of course, best known as the iconic voice of Dr. Eggman in the Sonic games. It's pretty cool to hear him in an indie point-and-click adventure, actually. Either way, he's somewhat of a gatekeeper to chat to, with a twisted sense of humor.
Stop me if you've heard this one. Man drags himself into his shrink's office. Says, "Doc, I got this bad feeling. My wife thinks all I do is dwell on the bad stuff and complain." Shrink says to herself, "Why'd I ever go and marry my patient?"
You're also introduced to the controls here, which are about as basic as a point-and-click can get. Left click to interact, right click to inspect. You really don't need much more than that, as fun as verbs or different interfaces can be. Upon entering the mouth of the clown, odd sentence, you are faced with a woman leaping into a well.
She's gone.
Not gone, Querent. Nearly dead.
Oh, thank goodness, and here I was worrying. This is probably an incredibly obvious statement, but this game is weird. I mean, strange is in the title, but it really is weird. A lot of odd things happen and you kinda just have to roll with it. So yeah, this quote-unquote fortune teller just spoke to us. We can't talk to him at will though, that requires a quarter. Damn, I left my wallet in my other straitjacket too. We do receive a phone call from an oddly hostile individual though.
Listen, the thing you have to understand is, this is all your fault.
The phone actually acts as a hint system throughout the game, which is neat. Dialing 0 lets the guy on the other end help you out. And it was at this point that I inspected the well, and, well...
It's a long way down, but I could give it a shot.
I wasn't sure what would happen here, but I saved the game beforehand, and I might as well jump. Should the stranger die, death is actually not the end. Not here at least. The head in the box was right, dead is not gone, not here. You find yourself back at the start, and this time you might be more inclined to notice the pile of stones which can be picked up. When you return to the entrance, the clown greets you with a joke. This happens every time you die until he runs out of jokes.
Hello?
I've got nothing more to say to you.
With the ground rules laid out though, it's time to explore. Just what can we find in Strangeland? There aren't a huge number of areas to this game, but each location is dripping with hidden secrets and pathways we'll need to uncover. First of all, heading north, we find a number of circus tents extending toward the void, the closest of which has light billowing from it, and the stranger can peer through to see a dead rat in front of him, which he can then take.
Got it. Sure is heavier than it looked.
Apparently it's heavy and has stitches along its belly. Perhaps there's something inside. Oh boy, a toy surprise. That'll have to wait though. To the west of here is a shooting gallery.
Step right up, step right up. Win yourself a bottle of Nepenthe.
Nepenthe is a substance mentioned on the poster near the clown, which apparently puts a bullet in all of your bad thoughts. Alright. The shooting gallery itself is actually kind of tricky. You need to make precise shots on the skulls when their eyes glow, but they're fast. There is an achievement for beating this minigame normally, but the stranger does spell out the simplest solution.
If only there were some way to slow them down.
But that's, again, not something we can deal with imminently, so let's head to the east instead. This path takes us to a twisted old tree, with an old blind man sitting beside it. And he's not just blind.
His eyes, they're gone.
Yeah, that'll do it. This old fella here refers to himself as Thimblefamby, which is a name I really love for some reason. It's very playful, almost fairy tale-like. It's like the name of a devious little gnome. This guy writes words spoken by a nearby raven.
Phone call.
It's not much of a tree for climbing.
And this character's a good way to be introduced to the dialogue system of the game too. It's nothing too fancy, but it does remind me a lot of the one in Sanitarium. The music here is also great, dark and twisted, but also somewhat whimsical also. I adore the bizarre blend it goes for.
What are you writing?
The same things I've written 1,000 times before. After all, an act can lose meaning if you do it often enough.
Thimblefamby speaks in strange riddles and quotes, but he's fascinating to talk to. There's also a noose on the tree here, but we can't reach it. We also get the impression that the stranger has been here before, but he can't remember any of this place. Anyhow, moving on, the western path leads us here.
A huge furnace with 83 painted on it.
That is my name, 83.
To what I can only describe as a talking furnace. And with a work order and some metal, he can make you things. Handy. Further to the west is a telescope which shows us where we need to be headed, but there is a problem to deal with. This dog is not friendly. He has a metal spike in his mouth too, and is blocking the path onwards. But still, he's not a good boy. There are many ways to die in Strangeland, and because you can just come back, it's fun to try things out and see what happens. And can I just say, the art in this game absolutely slaps. This dog looks nasty and scary and incredibly detailed. The artist for Strangeland Mods has a very distinctive style. I can't wait to see more of it in their next game too, which is already looking really cool. So finally, the eastern path. Here we see a poster of that woman alongside a phone number, as well as an electrified fence which shouldn't be touched.
Looks like it's electrified.
Yeah. It was at this point I noticed a raven in the hub.
Hello?
Sticks and stones will make me groan, but words will never move me.
Sticks and stones, eh? Well, I do have some of those.
All right, I'll talk.
The raven doesn't give you any key information, but it does teach you that this will make birds talk to you. This doesn't apply to real life, by the way. Don't throw stones at birds because I said so. But it does apply to the one near the tree, and with this one you can choose where to throw it.
My beak. Beak?
As you do, the raven mentions which part of them you hit, and Fimble writes down everything the bird says, so you can get him to write certain things here. And you can take the top word off the pile of writing. In all honesty, we've been needing some kind of tool. Perhaps a metal beak can be forged as a work order. We will need some ore first though, and the dog did have some metal, but he was carrying it in his mouth. The key word is actually was. You actually need to die here in order to progress, as the dog attacking you forces him to drop the spike, which you can quickly grab later. With the ore positioned and the beak work order placed, you can get yourself your first tool.
Now, step away. Behold the beak, fit for one who would carve and cut.
This beak is a knife, and it can be used to slip the cover off the internal controls in the shooting gallery to make the game easier, rewarding the stranger with a bottle of tonic. Please! Also that, too. The beak has quite a few uses, and I also accidentally killed myself with it while trying to slash open a tent.
Maybe it's a way out.
I thought by way out he meant the tent. Whoops. As you reapproach the center, a phone call is waiting for you.
You've hidden a hard grain of truth beneath smooth layers of lies. A masquerade of metaphors. Here's a metaphor for you. Your mind is a matryoshka. It's just you.
I love the setup of this game and the phone calls. Everything is so eerie and murky. Such a great atmosphere. And again, the art in those close-ups. Oh, gorgeous. I love close-ups in point-and-click adventure games. Alas, the knife isn't quite sharp enough to get into the tent though. Damn you, I died for this, you know. I spent a lot of time after this experimenting and wandering, as you do in adventure games, and eventually discovered that the old man is waiting for doves to come. If you lie to him and say that they are here, he'll throw out some bread for them. Except it's not bread. It's meat, and hungry dogs like meat, so maybe if I feed the dog, he'll let the stranger past. Ah, okay. What if we instead use that tonic from before on some of the meat? A little bit of a piranha poodle situation, you know?
His eyes looked happy.
Oh god, no, that was dog deletion juice. Why do I even have this? Still, this does allow us to pass now, and there is a sign here.
Beware of dog. Thanks, guys.
Heading further west leads us to a trio of masked women.
Hey, stranger.
Shh, we're supposed to be men.
Sorry, a trio of masked men. These are referred to as the maskettes. They're suitably cryptic, just as many of the others here are.
We all have a role to play.
And in this story, there's only room for one woman.
That's why we've gotta be guys.
Nobody tell Alison Bechdel about this. Apparently, under the mask as well is nothing. If you ask to look beneath...
Can I look under your mask?
Can't say we didn't warn him.
Alright, yeah. That's nothing. Now personally, I got a little lost at this point, but I remember there's an in-game hint line as well, so I gave it a call.
Aren't you the least bit curious what's inside the rat? So, make like a cat and slit it open.
I really love the idea of an actual physical hint line the character can call. It's a really cute diegetic way of doing it in an adventure game. I think Thimbleweed Park did something similar. In this case, I was told to slit open the rat. I forgot about that, my little toy surprise. We do have a knife now after all, let's crack this boy open.
It was stuffed with quarters?
Ah yes, a dead rat stuffed with quarters. Sounds like a crappy Cards Against Humanity card which you'd keep in your hand. Still, with our newfound rat money, we're able to commune with the fortune teller.
I am Murmur the Magnificent, great giver of counsel. What was, what is, and what will be.
And Murmur gives the stranger a tarot reading of his past, present, and future. I chose present first, to live in the now, I guess, I don't know. And I chose the Hanged Man, the Moon, and the Magician. For past, I chose the Fool, the Star, and the Empress. And for future, I chose the Hermit, Judgment, and the Emperor. If you want to psychoanalyze any of my choices in the comments, I can't wait to hear it. The choices themselves are not important, but they do affect the dialogue. What these readings are important for though is giving you a phone number. It's not very obvious, but listen closely.
You will call for 3, 110-1, 3, and from among the dead, you will be taken.
Did you catch that? It's a little bit cryptic, but let me break it down.
You will call for 3, 110-1, 3.
Yeah, it took me a while to get this one. So if you're thinking, how the hell would I figure that out? Yeah, it's definitely a bit out there. It's an adventure game puzzle, alright. I respect it though, it is creative. So if we then call this number...
Would you ride the swaying road to heaven?
I guess so?
Are you grown enough to bear the strain?
Yes?
Then on wind and through cloud shall thunder the 3.
A path forward presents itself near the Mesquits. A roller coaster car drifts down into view, which can take the stranger for a ride down the track.
Please, help me.
Splitting headache? I'm sorry, that was terrible. The stranger vows to kill the dark thing in the cage. Can amorphous shadow blobs even be killed? I guess we'll find out. The knife can pry a bar off the cage after all, because this ought to go well. Inevitably, the thing inside is let loose. This is one of the deaths that's supposed to happen, and things get more treacherous from here. Not that it was a sunny walk in the park before.
You are not the hero. You're not even the joke. You're the monster.
When you re-enter the area, Murmur tries to warn the stranger, but the dark thing gets to him first.
You need fire and spirit and golden wings and a Valkyrie to set you on the right road. Go to her! Go to her now!
It's a good thing the voice on the phone is here to make us feel better.
This is what I meant when I said you only make things worse.
Thanks, phone guy, that helps a lot. The dark thing is on a rampage, destroying the way forward, and anything it can get its shadowy mitts on. And it looks like the cage has a new occupant. Like Murmur said, we must go to her. If it's not obvious by now, a lot of this game is buried in things open to interpretation, metaphors and the like. It's a specific kind of game that doesn't have a clear meaning, but there is a lot of implication. You can infer. I mean, the dark thing could very easily be a stand-in for depression or anxiety, you know? I mean, the stranger is literally frozen in place and hindered by its presence. It comes up at inopportune times to make things worse. It wouldn't necessarily be an original metaphor, but when it's done this stylishly, who cares? Anyhow, the dark thing ends up breaking the roller coaster cart, and the spirit lamp within needs to be relit.
Without spirits, the Valkyrie has no reason to ride.
You must find a way to kindle them again.
How can I kindle the ride's spirit lamps?
With fire and spirits, of course.
Ah yes, how silly of me. So we'll need to figure that out. Let's visit our resident wise man once more, Fimblefamby, to see what he has to add.
A man can carry the dead, but their place is on the pyre. Do you understand? Once you have a flame, it will draw spirits from the dead as though they were moths.
Interesting. We need dead things. Nice. I love dead things. Moreover, when the stranger fell, he knocked the branch with the noose down from Fimble's tree, which means that we can cut the rope loose now, and a bar from the cage can be reforged into a claw.
My claws!
The two make a pretty obvious grappling hook item. I've played enough adventure games to know when you want me to make a grappling hook. That's a classic combo right there. This can be used to disable the electric fence, opening up a new carnival show.
Read the plaques, play with the freaks, and plumb the mysteries of the deep.
I can't imagine things getting much more mysterious than they already are. But let's go see what they've got.
This Mysteries of the Deep exhibit has 3 displays in glass cases, the first of which is a dead bird covered in oil.
I touch it, it's ruined.
God damn, dude. For whatever reason, the stranger takes the bird's sticky head. The second display is a mermaid, or at least the semblance of one. It reminds me of that classic Hawk's mermaid, with the monkey sword onto the fish. There's a similar grotesqueness here, and I think that's intentional. Once you light up some buttons on the front, a very simple puzzle really, she speaks.
What have they done to me?
Being in a somewhat similar boat to the stranger, she's keen to help him kill the Dark Thing, and helps with a weapon upgrade. She just wants one thing first though.
Yes?
My name. I want my name. Then my pain will hone you an edge that will cut right to the heart.
It's not Ifankova Grogaprum, is it? I just want to mention that I love the voice acting in this game as well. Everyone is putting in their all, and getting dramatic and weird about it. I adore that. The audio in general is just masterful. It's odd and eerie, and tastefully understated too. Something about it just tickles my brain right. Anyhow, we don't know the mermaid's name yet, but it is something to keep in mind. The third display here is this starfish, apparently known for its gastric acid. Cool, I hope it's not psychic and evil or anything.
My head. It's like something's in here.
I slip my gut between the valves and feed till my foe is hollowed out.
Oh, bloody hell. This puzzle is somewhat of a word association game, where you need to figure out how best to upset the beastie.
Aftermath, barren, extinct.
And to get dissolved by acid in the process. I gotta say, I love how death is actually a part of the puzzles in Strangeland. Your actions have permanent consequences, even if you die, and causing this starfish to spew acid means it creates a hole in its tank, and gives you access to its acid. We'll be using that later. For now, let's focus on our spirit lamp. 8.3 tells you that only the dead can hold the flame, which is a hint. We have a dead bird's head covered in a flammable substance. If we stick it on a branch from the fallen piece of tree, we can build a torch that 8.3 will light for us.
The burning brand you now bear is bright enough to beat back the dark, and hot enough to warm the dead. Go and make use of it.
Alright, that's some progress. The Dark Thing dislikes progress though and kills 8.3 in retaliation. I never thought I'd be mourning the loss of a talking furnace, but here we are.
Hello? 8.3? He's dead.
The Dark Thing is an ever-present threat here, even to the player. It'll turn up every now and then and just straight up kill you. Not that there's any real consequences to that, but it does just happen. We could use our newfound spirit flame to kindle the coaster, but it's still not quite ready yet.
Fire alone isn't enough.
You need a spirit.
Yeah. Why do you think they call it a spirit lamp, dummy?
Spirits, of course, it's a spirit lamp. Using the torch on dead things gets you their spirit. And we know that Murmur is dead, so let's get him.
Ah, the querent. Still burning with questions.
When used, the spirit lamp takes a stranger to a darker, more twisted version of the world, a dead land, where the deceased can say some final words before their spirit joins you.
That was unnerving.
I love the way the world shifts as well, so cool. Overall, we need 5 spirits, so 4 more to go. Our dead rat counts as one, as does the dead bird we used to make this thing. 8.3 doesn't quite count though, instead the flame just brings him back to life.
My embers are rekindled by my own fire, and I live again.
Hey, what do you know? Welcome back, buddy. The psychic starfish also counts since it died when the tank got drained, and he's not very happy about it.
Hate! Hate! Hate!
Aw, put a sock in it, buddy. And for the final spirit, I went back to the shooting gallery, since exposed skulls are often a sign of death. I'm sorry about that. Technically this is 3 spirits, so we have 2 left over. Much like the spare tiny parts in a Lego set, I don't really know what to do with them. Oh well. With that though, power has returned. Not that the Dark Thing is happy about it. The tracks are now broken though, and while the stranger can attempt to jump it, it's no use. Also yeah, the maskettes are dead now. More than just dead. Gone. Gone is worse than dead. Not even the spirit lamp can find anything left. So for now, there is simply more to explore if we want to clear that gap. The grappling hook can't be used across the tracks, but it can be used in a well at the center. And ascending it, well, there's a grub trying to escape a cocoon. Do we want to help? I guess. Can't hurt to try. The shell is too tough for the knife, but it can be softened with the gastric acid to free a giant cicada. And then...
Shall we?
Oh, hell yes. Riding a giant bug was not on my bingo card, but hell yes. I'll go with it. Perhaps this can help us find the woman who keeps throwing herself down here. The one we keep catching glimpses of. Well, not quite, but it does take us here.
There's something golden in there. It reminds me of her.
These cages also contain something. A creature called Rota, which looks to be a mass of hair, roots, it's something, and it talks.
I'll tell you this. A carnival is where flesh rises. The grave is where flesh sinks. And here we hang in between.
The name Rota may be familiar. It's one mentioned on the Mermaid's plaque alongside Atri and Alberic. They call themselves the Machine Men, and Atri may also be familiar. It sounds an awful lot like 8-3, doesn't it? But at least perhaps Rota can tell us the mermaid's name.
It has a value. It has a price. And we give nothing away for free, least of all what we have stolen.
A price, huh? Well, I do have a dead rat stuffed with quarters, and when we took its spirit, it spoke.
Rota.
In fact, it suggested that Rota himself has been split across various beings, the dead rat being one of them. At least that's what I got from this.
Inside Rota, stuffed with money, huh? I wonder.
So little left of my boy.
Look how they massacred my boy.
But this trade gets us a name.
I name her Nineveh. Yes, Nineveh.
And then the dark thing eats Rota. But hey, that's life. Sometimes you just get eaten by shadows after cashing a paycheck. We've all been there. If you're trying to make heads or tails of what this plot means, it's not really something that's clearly defined. Perhaps there is a single answer, but the game is mostly just questions. I actually would love to see a theory video on this one, but I don't have the patience to string one together myself. I mean, who do you think I am, Matthew Patthew? Now though, our weapon can get a cheeky little upgrade, since we know the mermaid's name.
As sharp as tragedy, huh? Let's see what it can cut.
So what can we cut with this? Well, this knot full of golden light can be opened, giving us some golden hair, lovely. We also get a vision of the woman being eaten by insects. Nice, I love that for her. And this new knife can cut through the tent, where it couldn't before.
Come see the lovely Teratoma. Watch her sway her shapely
What
legs.
is this?
Stare in her shining eye.
Oh, yes, okay. The Teratoma gives you a Simon Says puzzle, except with gross fleshy mouths. Are those mouths? I hope they're mouths.
I can go as long as you can, Teratoma.
They might not be mouths. With enough of a dance, the Teratoma gives up its eyeball.
It's an eyeball. Still fresh.
Ah, so who might need an eye? Perhaps a man who lacks them.
It's good to see through another's eye, though the world is still as it was. Thank you for that gift.
Well, alright then, that's a good deed for the day. The dark thing's gonna ruin it, right?
I see you.
Come on, man. I'm trying to do something right here. Still, we did get the last note we needed from him. Wing. And the wings can be forged by 8-3 from the golden hair. It's one of those things that would seem weird or obtuse in any other adventure game, but Strangeland has its own clearly defined rules that become ingrained in you during the playthrough. I mean, of course you use the sentient oven to build you a pair of wings, using the golden hair of a dead woman. That just makes perfect sense. That's not even sarcasm. Here, it does make sense. But with that, 8-3 shuts down once and for all.
Behold the wings, fit for one who would soar and glide. My last, best work.
His best work indeed, since the golden wings can clear that gap. Shadow crab? We have a shadow crab here. The dark thing has entered crab form. Meat? No. How about fire? Oh, God. Acid? Okay, that works. Now what? I'm lost. The proper steps are to burn its claw with acid, then blind it with the fire, leaving it more open to a throwing knife attack, destroying everything here. The dark thing, our inventory, even the stranger himself.
What the hell is going on?
Uh-oh. Did we just make things worse? We're in Deadland now, apparently. This is the point where I'll say, if you've liked what you've seen so far, turn back and play it yourself. This is your official spoiler cutoff.
Don't tell me you're expecting a joke.
I don't know what I was expecting, but I am thoroughly horrified. Deadland may be familiar. It's the rotten, greying world we saw through our spirit lamp, although it seems to be populated with various versions of the stranger, from the fortune teller's head to...
Oh, yes! I hate this! It is revolting! More? Please.
The imagery here is vastly unsettling. More unsettling. I mean, at one point this happened. Yeah, Cool. We can at least take the stranger's head back from the fortune teller by breaking it out with what the game calls a limb. I guess kind of like a tree.
It's like a cross between a croquet mallet, a shillelagh, and a nightmare. Hey, careful! Much better.
The phone guy is also back for a bit of beration.
Did you miss me? Sadly, we're stuck together, like a canker in a rose.
You know, this is just what it's like to have a YouTube channel. One of the beings here who isn't the stranger is 8-3. We just can't be rid of him, but he's not quite a furnace anymore.
You said your name was Atri, but in another place. I think I knew you as 8-3.
Atri died, so that 8-3 might live.
We already knew that they were one and the same, but what I picked up from this is that Atri here in Deadland is more of a past self of 8-3, one that was killed off.
You should know by now that every man contains a multitude.
Well, it's good to know he's here in some capacity. We do need our resident crafter. On another note, the old man at the tree, who is now just the stranger, has some things to add.
You really don't know your name? Well, I remember the name Gershom, but whether it's mine, or yours, or both of ours, I can't quite say.
Okay, so, in the Bible, Gershom was the firstborn son of Moses. It's a name that literally translates to, get this, a stranger there. That's funny. Anyhow, one thing that is worthy of note is that a lot of the same rules apply across both worlds. We can throw things at the bird, now a stranger bird, to get new words to forge.
My tooth!
And as long as you hand him the limb, H.G. can still make you things here too. But it is a little bit weirder. I'm not sure I enjoy the arms. Well, let's try going into the well again. That ought to be fun.
Here goes nothing.
Oh Lord help me, I fell into the Doctor Who vortex. Either that or a missed reference. An old friend can be found here though if you go towards the light.
What the hell? You?
Yes, me. Now listen. In the world of entomology, an imago is an insect in its final mature state, typically winged.
Oh, how nice.
In the world of psychotherapy, however, an imago is an idealized mental image of another person, wielding great power over the psyche. Power to unify the fragmented body, Lacan writes.
Bro, are you my therapist?
Whichever it was that you sought in the pit, the last stage of growth, the idealized person of another, or a ghost in the dark, I advise you to look up, not down in your search. You can fall to your end, but not to a proper ending.
I don't mean to include so much dialogue here, I just love how this character is written. I love hearing him talk. He also regurgitates some goop for us, like any bro would. But we can't just scoop it up with our bare hands, so let's visit the place we got a bottle previously. The shooting gallery. The skulls from before are here, but have a little energy puzzle to solve across their foreheads. Again, it's not a very difficult one.
Take it, we implore.
There's a bottle labeled Balm of Gilead. It's empty.
Joke's on you, I wanted it empty. I gotta scoop my bro's vomit up so I can make a knife. Obviously. The goop is ore in Deadland. You gotta love point-and-click adventure games, don't you? Now that we're knifed up again, we can open up where the tent was before and find a lot of tiny dead strangers.
It looks a little like me. Or maybe I should say it looks like a little me. A lot like a little me.
Oh, I love that.
I'll just give him a little poke.
I love that even more. Perhaps the feral stranger dogman would enjoy some stranger jerky.
This is for you, Fry. Zevulon the Great. He's teriyaki style.
Of course, we just have to use the same tactic as before. There's a snake-like tentacle thing dripping poison at the tree, which can be collected in the bottle, and a little poisoned man can go a long way.
He definitely didn't look happy.
Past here is, you guessed it, a trio of strangers.
Hey you! Or is it hey me?
Neither. We're all fakes.
And they quite clearly represent the past, present, and future through their ages. So what you need to do is recall which tarot card you assigned them. I actually forgot, to my shame. But you just get an achievement if you can remember. You don't necessarily need to remember, they'll simply correct you otherwise.
I called you a hermit.
That's not true. You said I was a hanged man.
But they'll promptly allow you to carry on.
Hopefully that hike won't repeat itself. I think I'd rather hit the tree again.
After a long hike, the stranger comes to a door with mirror shards around it. The only useful item I really thought to use at this point were my stones, which I tried throwing at the eye to no avail, but then the mirrors.
It's not like my luck can get any worse.
The broken mirrors close down one of the force fields, but a second one lies behind it. Well, if at first you don't succeed, use a knife. You can quote me on that. Don't quote me on that.
Not bad. Oh, look at that. In we go.
This takes us to the next challenge.
Please write your name to continue.
What if I just...
That's it, isn't it? Your name.
What do you mean that's the right solution? Okay, sure. I mean, I'm mad, but also that is hilarious. Next up is a hall of mirrors. One has several chunks missing with something behind it. And there are several mirrors you can look into here. It's really eerie. The music just cuts out like it's about to jump scare you or something. It doesn't, I might add, but it feels like it might, and that makes my skin crawl. Although in retrospect, it is kind of funny. Also in this room, if you circle around the pit in the centre, you can either fill or drain it with a strange liquid that makes the stranger feel woozy. If you fill it up high enough, you can nab some of this liquid, and if you get it low enough, you can find a giant eye below. And I decided to drink the fluid.
Well, it worked for Alice. My head feels strange.
And I have a bird head in the mirror now. That's cool. The bird head talks to me too.
Quote the raven, huh? Alright. Ever heard of the mirror mark test?
Here you can take chunks of the mirror, which may obviously come in handy. There's also a rat head and the head of a black dog here. At least our shards can act as puzzle pieces for the centre mirror, opening up a portal onwards.
You know, someone once told me, the man who stands at a strange threshold should be cautious before he crosses it. But what else am I going to do?
And after all of this, we're finally back at the cage. The woman is here, but...
What? What is that?
Oh, this is always my favorite part.
So is the dark thing, who is also the stranger.
Take a good look at the setting you made for our little escapade. In your heart, you knew this was a carnival game. You knew life was a carnival game.
God, I adore the dialogue here. I know it's cliché, but I live for it. If you can't enjoy a cliché from time to time, you're just not enjoying life.
Well, ready to quit yet?
What ensues from here is something very Monkey Island. A face-off, where the player is sent to a cycle of locations by the villain. I mean, literally, this is a LeChuck fight. What a genuinely weird addition to this horror adventure. I suppose it is a carnival though, so maybe it's not that weird. We can get a number of our old tools back through this puzzle though. A claw from the forge, a knife from the Mysteries of the Deep exhibit, a rope from the tree, and lastly, our wings from the Valkyrie ride.
Do you really think you can escape me?
And the woman is finally there to catch the stranger.
I've got you.
I did it. I made it. But the dark thing, it's right behind me.
There is no dark thing, you liar. These symbols are evasions. Crows, crabs, clowns. This grab bag of myths and masks and make-believe. It's all an evasion.
Here we're getting into the end game of it all. What it means.
If there's a shadow in your mind, it's because there's a light in your mind to cast it. You thought I was the light, but it was always inside you. I saw it. The whole world is full of lights, shining in the darkness, like the sky is full of stars, and the field is filled with fireflies.
So here's what I think is roughly going on. The woman, the stranger's lover, died. The hospital gown she wears suggests an illness. The world of Strangeland is simply the stranger processing his grief over his loss, and the self-loathing he goes through as he blames himself. Like I said before, there's a lot of pretty clear mental health parallels here, right down to the depiction of a black dog, famously a symbol of depression. I'm not going to pretend that this is all very original or groundbreaking or even unusual for an indie game, it's not. We've all seen a lot of this kind of thing, especially in recent years. But it's not a bad thing though, and it's made for a very cool adventure game to boot. I'm not going to complain. By the end of the game, you have a choice. The woman gives you the light, but you also wield the dagger. I personally chose to take the light into the stranger. I feel like this is the intended ending. When you lose someone, their light still shines within. Right from the start, the game tells you dead is not gone. That's pretty clear and obvious, and I like that message. The other endings are very clearly bad endings. You can try and fight the darkness head on, which doesn't go well. You can resign yourself to the knife, which isn't that great. Or you can leap into the void, which probably isn't helpful. Either way, I enjoyed Strangeland a lot, more so upon revisiting it to write this video. Strangeland is obviously a super weird adventure game that wears its influences on its sleeve, but it also does enough to stand out. It's not a long game really, it only took me about 4 hours to get through, but it has stuck with me. The dialogue, the messages it gives, the visual weirdness of it all, it's a lot to drink in, but my goodness what a drink. Intoxicating is what it is. Anyway, happy Halloween, creatures of the night, and remember to embrace your inner light. It just might save you from your shadow self.